Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Strv 103B. It's a tier 10 Swedish tank destroyer. It's located on the eastbourne of Paris, and this one is under the command of DaVinci, and he's in platoon with Bumbar of the DHELL clan. In fact, he's in the same clan, and also Rule Yaganra. Oh, well, that's a name and a half. Yagara 98, I think it is. Quite a name, anyway. Okay, it's a 103mm main gun. It's an S-tank, as they would call it, the Strv tank. It's a flat pack. Yep, the IKEA tank, as many people call it. This was the only mass-produced gun tank with a gun that was fixed, and it was also the first tank to actually have a turbine fitted into it. Now, he's gone into siege mode, and I think he's going to try and put a round on the enemy at the other end of the field. He can't actually get it precisely on the corner. I think he's going to try and do it, though, if he can. Okay, designed in 1956 by Sven Berge, it was proposed as an alternative S-tank, S for being Swedish. The idea was that they needed to lower the height of the tank, and to do that they decided to get rid of the turret altogether. Height was a major problem, and the idea was to try and hide the tank amongst the bushes and the trees in the Swedish forests, and that was very effective. The whole design was quite unique, and it was actually shown to JFK in the 1950s. Now, it was the only mass-produced tank without a turret. There isn't a single turret tank out there. Oh, he's been spotted. I wonder who managed to get that done. It could be the T100LT, but he's already taken around from a TVP, so he needs to pull back quickly. Now, it does take 2 seconds to come out of siege mode, and of course, by the time he pulled back to that bank, he was already unspotted again, so that's why he went straight back up again and into siege mode again. It's not a very tall tank, actually. It's very, very flat indeed. It's about the height of a man standing upright next door to it. So it is very difficult to spot for the enemy. So I'm amazed that he did get spotted, but it would have been that T100LT, and I suspect he got spotted the moment he fired at the Leopard 1 that was right in the center. Now, it was in service between 1967 and 1997. Oh, he's got one back on that TVP. And funnily enough, it was replaced by the very tank that well, not by the Leopard 1. It was replaced by the Leopard 2 in the identity of the Strv 121 and the 122. So Sweden bought a whole load of Leopard 2s and took this thing out of service. So in theory, the Swiss probably do have the Swedes probably do have a number of these tanks in storage, which could be used in any war. But it is a rather unusual tank in at the very slightest. It's an unusual tank. It only has a crew of 3: driver, gunner, and the commander, and that's it. It's an autoloader, as you can hear. Well, basically an autoloader. Not really an autoloader, actually. Technically, it's a manual load. But it's a very unusual tank, to say the least. And although you can see lots of other flat tanks in the game, all of those, none of them was actually produced. They were either test objects, prototypes, or they were just designs on blueprints. He's having a good game so far, because he's got 2,300 hit points of damage from this position on the field, right at the back. And he's got a number of tanks nearby that can help him in the case of the enemy does make a push. No kills yet, though, that's the thing. I didn't actually notice, but Rule Yagara 98, or Yagara, yes, it's a very difficult name to actually pronounce, is the Object 261 on his team, so he's actually guarding one of the Arty, one of his teammates. And the enemy Arty at this moment is focusing on a Progetto 65 on our team, who's only a short distance away. One of our teammates, Bumbar, has already been taken out of the game, I'm afraid. He was in the Vis 55. And it looks like our forces are actually thinning out near the bridge. So it could be that the enemy will be coming in our direction. Oh, and the enemy Arty is testing the water. I think he wasn't spotted, so I suspect that what actually happened there is that the enemy Arty was just landing shells on bushes which he thought might contain an enemy tank. And, well, he managed to get 228 hit points of damage. The enemy Arty in this game is an Object 261 and a T92 HMC. Oh, TVP in sight. You know, it is possible that the enemy Arty is getting their cues on where to fire from the enemy mediums that are up ahead. The TVP T5051 keeps getting hit. I think he's saying to his teammate, I know where it's coming from. I know which bush he's in. And that's another Arty round that actually went for his platoon mate. The Object 261 just took a hit. He's down on hit points. Well, we've still got more than enough to fight this game. In fact, we're down to 4 tanks on our team now. The enemy team's got a 4-tank advantage. 4 tanks! And yes, the bridge has collapsed. We've only got an Object 140 holding the enemy back. And a Heshbon is behind him, shooting at long range. So he's the one who's actually pummeling any enemy heavy that decides to come this direction. It is a tier 10 game, by the way. Oh, T100 being cheeky, and he got wiped out. Now, I think we did get spotted there. And no, we didn't. So, Bane decided, should I go back? And he's decided, oh, that was a good move. That was a good move, because yes, the enemy Arty fired at that bush after the T100 LT went down. So he immediately made the right choice to do that. To actually pull away from that bush saved him from losing a lot of hit points, because both Artys fired at the same spot. But the problem is now he's abandoned his platoon mate, but he's doing so for a good reason, because we lost the Object 140. We're down to 3 tanks left on the team. We're outnumbered 2-1. They've got 2 Arty, we've only got the 1. He's switching positions, because from this bush here, he's protected from anyone's coming directly from the west. And he can still shoot down the road behind him to get down into a hull down position, or rather the siege mode position, I should say. Well, that's bad news. We just lost. Well, no, that's good news, actually. Sorry, the enemy Heshbon just died to our Heshbon. T57 heavy just took 1 shot and he's out. But we did lose our FP4005 and put 1 round into the 261. We have to motor now. So the 261 did take a shot from one of our teammates. Now, he's decided to do a double back. Now, what will that 261 do? Will he come into the cap circle? If he does, we're going to take him. We're in siege mode. You notice that little radar device actually scanning for objects. I think it's an infrared sensor, actually. Looks in all directions, well, all directions forward of us, and giving that information to the commander. Likewise. Oh, yes, kill shots. Yes, T2 exposes lower plate, and he took advantage. Now, that might mean that the 261 come around the corner, and yes, he did. Base Match got that absolutely correct, and now it's still 2-1 because we lost our platoon mate. But it's now a lot more in his favour, because the enemy is the TVP T5051, and we know he's badly wounded because we did that to him. And Benzamaj is actually now positioning himself, awaiting the arrival of the TVP, who obviously thinks we're still in the corner over there next to the road, but he's decided he's going to go elsewhere. You see that grill out front? That's to stop the heat rounds from reaching the hull. The hull's very, very thin. Oh, the T92 is still trying to get us by lobbing shells into the bushes which he thinks he's in. Now he's scanning around to get a good all-round perspective what's actually going on. Don't want to be in tunnel mode at this moment. You want to be able to spot the enemy. Right, he's taking it right into the corner. That might give him the distance on the enemy, and he doesn't have to watch out for his left. Or is he going to go hunting? No, he's gone to a fallen tree because that will give him almost as much cover as the bushes would. And there's the enemy Arty. Yeah, he tried another tree. 5 minutes left on the game. Okay, so the enemy Arty's probably not going to go back to that tree. And since he's knocked it down for us, Bane Smash will use it. Of course, the enemy Arty is very unlikely to shoot from the same bush again if he got 0 results off the last time. Most Arty players will actually keep trying a different bush until they get some results, and then they concentrate on that bush until the enemy is dead. So it's a smart move actually to go. It's like if you're in a cap zone and you're capping and the enemy is in an Arty and it's some distance away, there's a lot of good reason to actually try and watch where the shells fall and then park yourself in one of the shell spots, because the enemy's very unlikely to fire at the same spot again. Of course, I would say that the best way to park yourself in the cap is parking yourself right on the edge, so you're half in, half out the cap, because then it's even more difficult for the enemy to work out exactly where you are, because you're not technically in the cap. Well, the cap's recording you as capping, but you are half in, half out. That TVP is very reluctant to come up. Well, my thoughts are he'll probably try and come up the same spot where Bane Smash was hiding. So he's actually probably going to come up to the right. Oh, he's not. It's the T92 coming to the cap. Well, that's interesting. First shot goes in. It's not enough to kill him, but he's turning. He's getting ready to shoot. Oh, and he does hit us. Yeah, he does get a direct hit, but he's worked out where we are, and if the TVP knows that, then he might be able to do some damage. But it didn't wipe out Bane Smash. He's still alive. He took a big hit for 380, but it wasn't a penetrating shot. In fact, I'd say it was a near miss, actually, not rather a direct hit. He's not showing any marks on the vehicle which indicate that it would actually hit. So I suspect he hit the ground next door to him. Now, I wonder if the TVP has managed to flip himself somewhere. That is an entirely possible scenario. I mean, the T92, if he'd gone into the cap area, he was just finding out where we were so the TVP could follow up immediately afterwards and finish us off. But the very fact that he hasn't even turned up yet, and we know he's badly damaged, he's only got a quarter of his health left, showing 594 on the screen, I suspect he's flipped himself or he's disconnected. He's immobilized somewhere. I would check the field first, although that's a bit open. Okay, Bane is decided to cap, and he's going to the most obvious place to cap as well. And we've got 2 minutes left. So he is capping within the required period. Now, what are the odds? Do you think he's disconnected? I think he might have disconnected. But if he's back online, he is going to have to make a move and come to the cap. Otherwise, we're going to get an invader medal for Bane Smash. Doing a quick all-round look. There he is. Hello. One shot in. It's not enough to kill him. Oh, we did hit him on the lower plate. At least Arty did. He's got 2 shots in. And there's the kill shot that wins the game for Bane Smash. And he's still alive. Here's the end of battle results, and that was an ace tanker game for Bane Smash in the Strv 103B, and not just any old ace tanker. That was his first one in this vehicle. Yes, when you see the scrolls underneath the M, that is the first time you got it. So congratulations to Bane Smash for a battle well fought. He also managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle, Duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, he got 6. He also got a Pascucci's medal because he killed both enemy SPGs in this game. He took out the Object 261 and he also managed to get the T92 HMC. And on top of that, the last tank that he killed, a TVP, was his 6th kill in the game. So he picked up a top gun on top, as well as his win rate being 7,046, which is Super Unicum standard. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, he didn't get the highest damage in the game, and neither did the highest scorer in the game. That was the Object 140 on his own team, the guy who valiantly tried to hold back the enemy horde coming from the bridges. He got 5,486 hit points of damage. Second highest damage was Bane Smash with 5,299, but since neither of them got a high caliber, it probably wasn't 20% of the enemy hit pool. Third highest on damage turned out to be the Viz55 on the enemy team, who got 4,235 hit points of damage. When it came to kills, we can see that, yes, Bane Smash got top on that, 6 kills to him. 3 kills went to the Object 140 on his team, and 2 members of the enemy team, their TVP T5051 and their T57 Heavy. And when it came to base XP, Bane Smash got that one for sure, 1,126 to him. The Object 140 managed 1,079, and third place went to the Object 277 with 999. 999! Yes, so 2 players over 1,000 base, with the other one just being 1 experience point below. Very well played. If we look at his platoon mates, we can see that the guy who's actually Bumbar, showing us Bumbar on the screen, in the Viz55, he managed to get 1,481 hit points, but he died fairly early on in the battle. And the other one, Rule Yagara 98 in the Object 261, got 885 hit points and 1 kill. So he was busy firing counter battery as well at the enemy Arty. So let's have a look at detail. He fired 19 rounds in that game. You actually get 50 rounds of ammunition, so he didn't even break a sweat on this one. 16 direct hits, 16 penetrations. Every shell that hit the target, it did go through. But it's a 105mm firing APCR, so obviously it's likely to go straight through the target. 5,299 hit points of damage, of which 2,379 were at more than 300 meters. A lot of that damage was done in the field, where he was actually shooting at tanks, which is some distance away. He did get spotted a couple of times, but I think that was down to the enemy light tanks. But yes, he was getting pinpoint precise attacks on the enemy tanks and tagging them and getting some damage off them, and he was doing so early on in the game. He received 3 hits, 2 were penetrating shots, 1 non-penetration, and 2 hits by way of splash damage. Well, that was coming from the enemy Arty that was firing in this direction, and he did get one of those hits, was actually while he was sitting in the cap area, destroying the T92. The penetrating shots, actually, I believe, actually are down to the TVP right at the end of the game. 2 shots were fired by the TVP, but they were not enough because Bane Smash was able to get 2 rounds into the enemy and finish him off, because he is 390 alpha, so, and I didn't mention that throughout the entire game, so it is quite powerful, those shots. Only needed 2 to bring down the TVP, because he'd already hit him several times before. He spotted 3 enemy vehicles, damaged 8 of the enemy, killed 6, and he also got 6 capture points, because of course he was still in the cap when the TVP died. On a premium count, he actually earned a profit of 22,426 credits in that game, and that's despite the fact that he had to pay for consumables at full price, and 2 of them. He also got 7 bonds for this being tier 10 game, and 3,378 experience points as well. So yes, 5k damage and some very early on damage in the game. I mean, literally was up to 2.5, I think it was more than 2.5k of actual damage in minutes into the game. And he was just sitting there picking them off. But at the end, he did a very good job. 1 player against 2 enemies. But at one point, they were 2-1 virtually throughout the end of the game for his team. So he was fighting against impossible odds, but he was still winning. And it looked like they were going to lose the game because, of course, at one point they were 4 tanks down. But no, he managed to recover it and carry for the team. I hope you enjoyed that replay. It's really difficult to get a good medal, a good ace in the Strv 103B. And that's down to the fact that so many people play it because it's a rather interesting tank and because it does so much damage. And so the level of experience needed to get 99%, because that's what you do have to get with the ace tanker. As it says, the player must earn more experience in the battle, an average experience earned over 99% of the players who have fought in this vehicle for the previous 7 days. So he actually beat 99% of the players over the past 7 days in this vehicle. And that does take some doing. So whenever you play something really, really well and get an ace tanker, then you're knowing you are really the cream of the crop, the top dog, and the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Well, not of all time, but greatest anyway at that moment. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give our video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.